Hey, and welcome back to another episode of Vibrant You. It is Virgo season at the moment, which means that September this month is my birthday month. My 30th birthday is coming up on September 19th, and this last month so far has been just such a beautiful space of self-reflection and connection and transformation for me personally. I've also realized how many Virgos there are in my life. So I'd be so curious to hear if you are also a fellow Virgo. Send me a DM on Instagram. I'd love to hear and celebrate with you. So I am a big fan of intentional celebration. So every day, of course, is significant, and we don't need a birthday or a New Year's to, reflect and use that as an opportunity to reflect and to celebrate how we desire to live our lives. But I truly believe that milestones like birthdays can, if we choose for them to be, they really can be such a powerful portal or just a landmark in time as a point of reflection and redirection of where we desire our life to flow from this moment moving forward. So this episode, we're talking about that. I am going to share with you my personal recent birthday celebration that was so beautiful. I'm going to share with you a little birthday ritual that I personally do every year, some reflections, and I'm going to share my own top 3 personal life lessons that came through for me in this last year. And I'm going to share a special little birthday gift from me to you. So stay tuned until the end. So before we get into my birthday ritual and what I'd invite you to do when it comes to be time for your birthday, is I'd love to just hear, what's your personal relationship to your birthday? Right? Birthdays and celebrations and landmarks, milestones can bring up different experiences for different people. I've been very fortunate to have a very neutral relationship to birthdays. They're not something that I tend to pedestal and put a lot of pressure on, put a lot of intensity on how things should look or how I should feel on that day. But I also haven't shamed it or made birthdays bad or wrong or avoided them. But I know a lot of people around me and some friends and people that I know, clients as well, that birthdays have just been hard. Either there's some birthday trauma of things from the past, or there just feels like a lot of pressure to feel a certain way. It brings up a lot of expectations for people that I should be feeling a certain way on my birthday, and when our lived experience doesn't measure up to how we think we should feel on any significant day such as that, then we feel disappointed, or we think we've done something wrong, or the people around us aren't showing up how they should be, and we just really go down this downward spiral. So just a little reflection. What's your relationship to your birthday? I'd be curious to hear. Send me a DM on Instagram. And let's get into a birthday ritual. So this is something that I love to do. I do this for my birthday every year. I do something similar for New Year's. There's certain other milestones or landmarks throughout the year that I personally celebrate, and I have celebrated for many years. But birthdays is a significant one. So I'm going to share with you 3 parts to the birthday ritual that I do for myself, and I invite you to give it a try when your birthday rolls around. So download this episode, save it so that when you do have your birthday, you can come back to this and you can go through these prompts, you can do this exercise, and then I want to hear how it goes for you. So 3 parts to my birthday ritual is number 1, reflection. Okay, so really reflecting on the year that's come, that's past, the year to come. That's number 1, is reflection. Number 2 is envisioning. So I go through a whole practice and process around envisioning the year to come, and I'll share with you the exact practice of what I do. And then the third element of my birthday ritual is ceremony. So making it intentional, anchoring it in through a certain ceremony that I do. So those are the 3 pillars. Let's get into each one by one, and I'll share with you exactly what I do. So the first one is reflection. So this is something that I do both solo as well as I love to do with friends. And I was so fortunate over the weekend to have created a beautiful celebration. I was so intentional about how I wanted to bring in this new year for myself, and I knew that I wanted it to be in sisterhood. So I invited all of my closest girlfriends, rented an amazing luxury villa close to the beach, and we had just a really beautiful little mini wellness retreat kind of vibe. We ate beautiful, organic, nourishing food together, and we danced and we moved our bodies together, and My sisters were just so, so sweet to lead this beautiful circle for me of reflections, what these women saw in me, challenges that I had faced in the last year, wishes and desires for me in the year to come, and really just in the space of reflection and celebration with me. And it was so beautiful and so powerful. So having that reflected back to me through my friends was so significant, and they were able to mirror things back to me that maybe I wasn't able to see within myself. Big triumphs from the year that I kind of made small, right? That they could really reflect back to me how significant me overcoming those challenges were, and really showed me my strength and how I overcame those challenges and what I grew into the last year. So it's really so beautiful to receive that. And I also do a little solo reflection on my own as well. So I love at these milestones of birthday and New Year's to really reflect on two parts. One, the year that's passed, and I have some specific journal prompts that I'll share with you here, as well as I like to reflect on the year to come. So what I'm calling in, what I'm inviting in this upcoming year, in this 30th year around the sun. So I'm going to share with you some journal prompts, and you can write these down, or again, download, save this episode so you can come back to it. So first I reflect on the year that's passed. And this is, of course, progress and achievements or shifts that I've created. But more importantly, I like to focus on really the lessons that I've learned, how I've grown as a person in this last year. And reflecting on the beautiful moments. So journal prompt number 1 is to make a list of the most beautiful, significant moments in the past year. So what I personally do to remember that, because I remember the first few times of doing this ritual, almost feeling like shocked and kind of like depressed, like, well, I don't remember all of it. So here's 2 little hacks for you to remember the most beautiful moments of the last year. Go through your calendar and go through and see, oh yeah, I remember this wedding, and oh, this trip with friends, or oh, I achieved this year, right? Go back through your calendar. Or second little hack is go through your pictures. Because if it was a beautiful moment, maybe you took a picture of it and it will jog your memory of like, oh yeah, I remember, that happened. It might have been a year ago on your birthday or shortly after your birthday, and it may be hard to remember all those things. So I just go ahead and I make a big, beautiful list of all the things that I'm reflecting on, the most beautiful, significant moments from the past year. And I just allow myself to feel and remember and embody those experiences. The second question I journal is, what am I most proud of from the last year? What am I celebrating? So I'm reflecting on, okay, maybe, like external accomplishments and achievements. I started this podcast, and I signed this many clients, and I had the impact on this many people inside of my group coaching programs, or, those types of things for sure. But also internally, like, where am I proud of myself on the inside? Wow, I'm really proud of how I showed up to that really difficult situation. I'm really proud of how much I trusted my intuition. I'm really proud that in that moment of discomfort, I really leaned into my integrity and I did what was right, not because it was comfortable, but because it was the right thing to do. I'm really proud that that friendship that felt a little bit wobbly for a sec, I leaned into the discomfort and the vulnerability of saying, hey, I love you too much to have this resentment and this feeling that I'm having towards you. Can we talk? And really vulnerably opening up my heart to express those things, to clear that relationship and rejuvenate it so it can really thrive. So external things, sure, that we're proud of, external accomplishments, but also what I'm celebrating within myself. That's huge. The third journal prompt that I do is, what were the greatest challenges from this last year? And what did I learn from those challenges? So I just start to list out, like, I kind of get real. What sucked from this last year? This big challenge, or this issue in my relationship, or this thing going on with my health, whatever it is. But then I like to extract the wisdom from it, because with every challenge, if we choose to see it in this way, also presents an opportunity. And in that opportunity, we really can find a way that we've grown, or an insight, or a realization. And that really alchemizes those difficult experiences into medicine and into gold that we can weave into the year to come. So greatest challenges, and what did I learn from it? Okay, the next one is, in what ways did I grow? I like to reflect on what were the top 3 life lessons from the last year. And I'll actually share with you below what came up for me in this last year. I'll share what those reflections were for me. But that can be a really powerful way to see how we've grown in the last year. Time goes so fast. And I think especially in our adult life, like as we get into our 30s, just every day can start to feel like the same, right? Especially if we're just in the flow, in the grind, in the responsibilities of everyday life, that unless we really intentionally zoom out of our day-to-day life, we really miss all of the amazing ways in which we've grown from day to day, week to week, month to month, and then year to year. So extracting those life lessons are so beautiful. And then the last question that I ask myself on reflecting from the previous year is, what am I ready to let go of from this previous year to really free me up physically, emotionally, energetically for what I want to call in the next year? So what are some things that I'd like to let go of, or that I'm ready to let go of, that will really create space in my life for what I desire to call in the year to come? So those are the reflections from the year that's passed. There's a few more journal prompts that I use for the year to come. So I ask myself, how do I want to feel in this next year? Okay. And I always go based on feelings, like, how do I desire to feel? So I think the top 3 that came up for me for this year is nourished, alive, and fun and play. I want to feel playful. I want to feel joyous. I want to feel alive. I want to feel that felt sense of awe and wonder of how beautiful and how magical life is. I want to feel so deeply nourished. Of course, my physical body's from the foods that I eat and the movement that I do, but I want to just feel so nourished and alive, by feeling the sun on my skin and by overlooking the ocean, to just really allow those moments to touch me and to nourish me, right? That beautiful hug from a sister. I want to allow that to really penetrate my being and feel that felt sense of nourishment and aliveness in those moments. How do you want to feel in this next year? And I always allow, to have 3 to 5 words or desired feelings. There's a great book, The Desire Map by Danielle Laporte. That book and I go back probably when it first came out. I don't know if that's 10, 15, maybe years ago now. But so beautiful to just have these words or these core feelings as a North Star for us. So as we're making life decisions, we're really filtering every decision that we make through this filter of, is this going to help me to feel nourished or alive? Or is this going to invite more play and pleasure into my life? And let's be real for a sec. Maybe taxes, I have to do them. Do they make me feel joyous and alive and playful and nourished? No. But how can I then either outsource my taxes to someone else, or how can I invite play and pleasure into it? How can I have a playlist and have a little dance before and make it fun, or do it with a friend? Or how can I be intentional about awakening that part of me, even in situations that I don't necessarily feel excited and alive by? So I find that to be very helpful. Okay, the next journal prompt for the year to come is, what are the top 3 life areas that I want to focus on in this year to come? So when it comes to goals and intentions, we can get so overwhelmed by I want to do this for my health, and I want to achieve this with my work, and I want to make this much money, and I want to experience this with my partner, and I want to get married, and I want to have a baby, and I want blah, blah, blah. And it can feel really overwhelming, right? So what I like to do is every year I like to really dial in to what are the top 3 life areas that I really want to move the needle in my life, right? The top 3 life areas that I really want to nourish and focus on. And usually it's the ones that the ones that are already flowing nicely don't tend to be my top areas of focus, because they're already working really well. My health is already functioning really well, right? I'm feeling really good about my health. I'm feeling really well and optimal in my body these days. So it's not that it's not important to me. It's just maybe not, it's I can coast in that area for a little bit. I want to maintain it. I want to keep it optimal. I'm not neglecting it by it not being the top area of focus for me. But I think you get what I mean. So what are those top 3 areas? Is it your health, right? Is it your family? Is it your friendships and your community? Is it your work and your career? Is it your education? You want to study something? Is it your financial life? You want to get out of debt. You want to save a certain amount of money. You want to buy a house, right? So really identifying those top 3 life areas is so helpful, again, as that North Star to help us really invest in the direction that we desire life to flow into. What do you desire to do or create or experience in this year to come? And why? Why does that matter to you? So this is really transforming goals into deep desired intentions, right? So a goal might be like, if we think of SMART goals and we think of like New Year's resolutions, which I do my own little like birthday resolutions, a lot of people will say like, well, I want to lose 10 pounds, right? But that losing that 10 pounds won't matter to you much if it's not connected to a deeper core desired feeling, right? The 10 pounds doesn't really matter. Is it that you want to feel free in your body? You want to feel confident to be able to, go to the beach and jump in the ocean in your bathing suit and feel so hot in your body and feel so empowered, right? Like what is the underlying feeling behind that goal? We want to really filter through that and allow the feelings to filter through into the things that we want to do or create or experience or achieve in the year to come. So really allowing those feelings to be our North Star, directing us towards all of those goals and transforming those feelings into then tangible goals that will move us forward in life. And really getting clear on why that matters to us, right? Is it really about the 10 pounds? Is it really about buying the house, or is it that you want to feel safe and secure and you want a nourishing environment to raise your kids in, right? It's rarely about the thing. It's always about how we feel about the thing and the feelings that come alive in us in relationship to the thing, and getting clear on that can be so supportive. Okay, the last question is I always like to ask myself, because I don't love to do all these things alone. I know that deep down, yes, I am a strong, independent woman, and of course I can achieve all of this for myself. And I've really learned over the last years that I can do it by myself, but I don't have to, and I don't necessarily want to. So the last journal prompt is, what books or programs or coaches or mentors or support can I invite into my life to help me overcome obstacles on the pathway to achieving the goals and the desires and the feelings that I want to bring more of into my life? How can I rely on that support to help keep me accountable to accelerate my way towards that life that I desire for myself? So I start to, write down and to envision, what are the mentors that I want to work with this year? What are the courses that I want to take? What are the programs that I want to partake in? What are the books that I want to read? What are the podcasts that I want to binge, to really help me move forward in the direction of life that I desire to go for myself? So that is part 1 of my birthday ritual, this reflecting on the year that's passed, reflecting on the year that's come. I do that solo with just journaling, and even more bonus power, if you can be witnessed in that by your sisters, by your friends, your family, your partner, whatever it is. And just so beautiful and so powerful to use this opportunity to reflect. So before we get into the last 2 of envisioning and ceremony, I just want to share with you 3 of the top life lessons that have come through for me in this last year. So as I've done this journaling for myself and began to reflect on that, I've really extracted 3 key lessons that have come through for me in this last year, which is different every year. There's obviously different focus, but the top life lesson that I really learned in this last year is that joy is truly the greatest medicine. And I simply can't deny that I've seen this time and time again show up with my clients in my own lived experience, that really when it comes to optimizing our health, our well-being, the healing journey, overcoming, symptoms and illness or, chronic things that we may be facing with our digestive health or our hormonal health or our cognitive well-being, is that you can be doing everything right. You can be taking all the right supplements. You can be eating all organic. You're eating super clean. You're doing infrared sauna. You're drinking the green juice, But if we are disconnected from our joy, which is the very life force that flows through us, that nourishes our body, our mind, our spirit, then all of those things that you're doing won't matter much. And so this has really been such a powerful reminder and a deepening of this knowing that joy and pleasure and aliveness, what brings you to life, is the life force, the most powerful healing force that flows through you. That's what heals us at the deepest levels. So I've really applied this in the last year for optimizing my health and well-being. This has been a lot of the work that I've done with my clients as well, is really using life as medicine. How we live our life is so powerful in creating the medicine that we really desire to see in every area of our life. And whether that's, of course, our physical health or optimizing our business or our relationships, being connected to that deepest sense of just joy and self-connection and aliveness is just the lifeblood that overflows through our body into every other area of our life. So it's undeniable. Lesson number 2 that I've learned in this last year is that community is key, without a doubt, but sisterhood in particular is so sacred. So my whole life, I've had beautiful relationships, and I've always felt like I've had this sense of community. I've had beautiful people around, people that I love, people that I feel safe with, people that I trust. But what's really unlocked for me in this last year, and something that I've really deeply invested in, is going beyond community and really investing in sisterhood. Women in my life that, I've nourished the relationship, and so have they, to the point where these women are like my blood family. And I trust them with my life, and I trust them with my, deepest challenges. I trust them with my joy. And they're the kind of women that I can both go to the depths of my darkness and reveal it and be met with just so much love and compassion and empathy and understanding. And also we can be light, and we can play and be silly and have fun and laugh our heads off and sing at the top of our lungs. And, that has just been such a pillar of vibrant well-being for me in this last year, is really sisterhood. And I've really learned the importance of it. My whole life, I thought that I was an introvert. And so much of my life, I used to think, it's sad to think, and I'm not sure that I was consciously thinking it in the past, but I can see now this subconscious programming that was really running the show behind my relationships. Is I used to think like, number one, I'm an introvert. And, I feel drained by human connection, and my social battery just, when I was around people for any length of time, especially groups of people, I would feel like my social battery was just drained, and I'd need days to recover from, that level of human interaction. But what I've come to realize is that I'm not an introvert. I was just hanging out with the wrong people. I was hanging out in relationships where connection felt more draining and depleting than it did life-giving. And it wasn't me, it was the nature of the relationship. And also me, how I was showing up in it. I wasn't allowing myself to receive. I was noticing that in friendships that I was always just giving and overextending and not really honoring my boundaries, not honoring my limits. The conversations tended to be very one-sided, and me supporting them, or even like going into this weird like coaching role with friends instead of, being on kind of the same level. And that was certainly on me, and work that I needed to do on receiving and noticing where I was trying to like fix people or save people. And yeah, some subconscious shadows at play there for sure. But it's just been so beautiful to do that inner work, to go through some of the, wounds around connection that I was experiencing previously. And to really commit to nourishing and watering those relationships, in the most beautiful way. So that's been amazing. And then the third life lesson from this last year is that, oh my goodness, where there's big desire, there's big vulnerability. And the bigger the desires that I have for myself, the edgier, right, that they are, the more important that they are to me, the more that I care about the thing, the deeper the risk, the more fear there's going to be, the more vulnerability that it's going to take to meet that desire. So there's been so many things in this last year. And I mean, this podcast was one of them for sure. This was a big desire that I had. And I had all kinds of, stories around it. Like, who am I to start a podcast? Podcasting is for people with way bigger followings than me, for people far more knowledgeable, far cooler than I am, have way more important things to say than I do, or, sabotaging it in the other direction of like, everything's already been said, I'm not unique in that way. Like, I'm just saying what everyone else is saying. I struggled to find my own voice in it. And so, of course, like with creating this podcast and so many things that have come up for me in this last year, where there's that big desire for something that matters to me, something that's important to me, it requires big vulnerability. And that vulnerability and that discomfort that I feel in the pathway to meeting that desire doesn't make the desire wrong. Just because it's uncomfortable can actually be a great sign, a great symptom that things are actually really right. And that showed up without a doubt in relationship with my partner, in relationship with friends. Where there's big desires, there will always be big risk. And so I've really leaned into embracing the risk, embracing the vulnerability, having hard conversations, expressing the desire, detaching from the desire, and how it may be fulfilled. And a big learning lesson in really feeling my feelings around it and really connecting to that, the cringy, crunchy, uncomfortable, awkward, messy parts of me, how to really hold those parts of me with deep compassion and empathy and understanding. And then the next level of that was really to allow myself to reveal it to other people, right? To bring that cringy crunchiness that I want to keep disclosed, in the privacy of my own bedroom with the curtains closed, of me crying or me raging or me feeling my natural human feelings, but to actually find the safety within myself and the trust in my relationships to expose that part of me. And through that, so much intimacy has unlocked, and my relationships have just thrived and up-leveled and expanded in ways that I never could have imagined for myself. But with those desires for deep, close connection, friendship, relationships, starting a podcast, all of those things, it has taken big risk and vulnerability and feeling of my feelings. And it's been so powerful to lean into that part of my life. So those are my top 3 life lessons. Okay, part 2 of the ritual, right? Part 1 was reflection, doing the journaling, being seen in those desires, being seen in that process. Part 2 is envisioning. So I have made myself a beautiful little vision board for myself, which is a really beautiful part. So if you've never done a vision board before, it's essentially using visual images and components and words and textures and colors that really connect you to those core desired feelings, those North Stars that you really want to invite into your life. So I have created just on Canva, so easy for you to create. I've made a beautiful vision board for myself of all the images that I want to feel, right? So they're images or symbols of how I want to feel within myself, things that I want to achieve or accomplish or experience in the year to come. And there's words on there and there's images, and it feels so beautiful to look at. And I've actually made it the desktop on my computer. So every time I open up my computer, I'm seeing the visuals of how I want to feel, right? And I've also made it the background on my phone. So every time I open my phone, which is many times a day, I'm also getting that visual component of those goals and those desires that I can keep referring back to. So I can see on it, I've got, if you've been following the podcast or following me on social media, I'm so big into joy and desire and play and pleasure right now. And so I've got a picture of drumming, and that's something, just an old teenage desire that I'm refulfilling or fulfilling again at this point in my life, and going longboarding. Some more vulnerable ones to share is I'm in a space of really desiring motherhood and preparing myself, my partner and I preparing ourselves to welcome that into our lives. And so there's pictures that symbolize pregnancy and having so much community around and so much support and so much love in that space. There's goals with my work of wanting to do more speaking engagements, wanting to be on more podcasts. So I have visual representations of that, of a picture of someone on stage. Actually, it's a picture of me on stage from a previous talk that I'd done, and me being on more podcasts, all of these things. So that's so beautiful, just to have this visual representation of those desires that I can see on a daily basis, I'm reminded of on a daily basis, so I can keep investing my life in the direction that I desire it to go. So that's part 2 of my birthday ritual, envisioning and using that visual component through a vision board. And then part 3 of it is ceremony. So if you've been following this podcast for a while, if you know me personally, then you know that a big part of my life for over 10 years as a yogi, a very devout, committed yogi, borderline monk life, I would call it. I went through a very long period of deep meditation, deep ceremony, spending months of the year in silence in India, studying ancient ceremony and ritual from the Vedic culture. And I've really just really learned the power of ceremony and the use of intention to really anchor in what matters most to us in life, right? And the element of purification and energetic clearing to really make space, of course, in our bodies, in our minds, in our heart, symbolically, but also energetically to make space. So I haven't done this part yet, but I will on my actual birthday on September 19th. I will go to, and there's so many ways that you can do this. For me personally, I live in Bali. Ritual ceremony is such a significant part of the culture and the way of life here. So my personal little ceremony will be I will go to a Balinese temple and undergo a beautiful little water purification blessing and set intentions and chant mantras. That's just one way of my own personal way and my own personal culture of how I like to connect. But other ways that I've done it in the past, or how you might try it, is maybe you don't have a Balinese temple down the road. And maybe that's not what you connect with, but having a little fire ritual in your backyard, where you write out your intentions and you offer it into the fire, right? Ceremony is simply intention. It's anchoring in those intentions. It may or may not be working with symbols that feel sacred to you, right? If you follow any certain religion, of course, follow a ceremony that, aligns to that religion or that spiritual path that you connect deeply with. Offer it up to God or the universe or your higher self, whatever you want to call it. Maybe you have an altar or something that you like to work with, right? And using the elements of nature, right? The 5 elements of fire, water, earth, air, ether, right? To invoke and purify those 5 elements in our environment, to purify those within ourselves. Ceremony may also bring in, the 5 senses of sight and sound and taste and smell, So much ritual and ceremony in the Vedic culture, and here in Bali as well, revolves around that, right? They're using the 5 senses as therapies, right? To experience a different aspect of ourself, right? The most pure, centered, balanced, grounded part of ourselves, from which we can invite and invoke what we truly desire from in our life, and manifest from that place and create from that place. And so they work with, in their offerings and in their ceremony, they work with incense, which is aromatherapy, right? The smell of incense. They're working with sights of flowers, which is the visual component. It's color therapy. Those bright colors, it's pure color therapy. When you're in the Balinese temple, they're working with the element of sound. So the Vedic priest, the Balinese priest, will be ringing a bell or chanting certain mantras, which is invoking an aspect of our awareness, our consciousness, through sound therapy, right? So all of these things, they're using taste. They're eating certain fruits as what we call like prasadam, or like the fruits of our offerings. So many ways that you can do this. And I invite you to just play with what feels most natural and inspiring to you. What do you connect with personally? If you want any ideas, or you want to brainstorm what that ceremony would be with you, I love that conversation. I would love to hear your questions or your ideas of how you want to create more ceremony and ritual in your own life and celebrate these milestones. So you know that I always love to receive messages from listeners on here and connect on social media. So I'd always love to hear your insights or any questions, and just to celebrate that with you, to bringing that ceremonial aspect into these transitions and milestones for us. So that is what I wanted to share with you, my loves. This is my birthday reflection, my envisioning process, the ceremony that I do around my birthday. I hope that you connect with it in some way, that it inspires you. And of course, I'd love to hear your top key takeaways over on Instagram. What inspired you in this episode? Are you going to try a birthday ritual for yourself? And I'd love to hear how it goes. So all of that being said, I have an invitation for you. Is if this is something that you desire more of in your life, more intention, more sisterhood, more joy, more aliveness, whether it's your birthday or not, I want to invite you into my upcoming 6-week intimate women's circle and group coaching experience called Alive, which is for the woman like you desiring more. It's a 6-week portal to really claim your joy, awaken your aliveness, embrace your desires inside of a very supportive sisterhood where you feel totally seen, where you belong, where you're celebrated, and where you can really start to hone in on what it is that you desire in life, in a relationship, in your work, in your finances, in your health, whatever that deeper desire is, that intuitive nudge, that whisper from deep within your soul. You'll be so held and supported as you move towards this inside of this 6-week container. So if that's you, I am actually offering $100 off of this experience between now and my actual birthday coming up. So if that's you, send me a DM on Instagram. I am at Bindi Stables. Let's have a little chat. I want to hear your desires, and we will see if this may be the right experience for you. So I look forward to hearing from you. I am wishing you the beautiful rest of your day, and I'll see you back for another episode so soon. Take care.